Welcome back to the Nikki Clark Radio Show, and we have a very special feature with Shellian Sterling. She is a master stylist at the Michael Kluthe Hair Salon, 1428 Yonge Street, the St. Clair uptown area. They've been there for 50 years, styling and beautifying Toronto. So Shellian is here as a special feature talking about hair loss today. So we're going to get right to it and welcome our special guest, Shellian. How are you doing today, Shellian?
Hi, Nikki. I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show. It's a pleasure.
Fantastic. Oh, it's a pleasure. I always love learning from you. You've got a wealth of wisdom when it comes to hair, and my hair has never been in better shape from your hands than ever before. When I met Shellian, my hair was probably just skimming my shoulders. Now it's going way down my back, and that's only been maybe 2 months or less. So because of her fantastic knowledge of hair and the application, it really makes a difference in someone's hair growth. So let's talk about hair loss. Why women experience hair loss, Shellian?
Women, well, when I was deciding on the topic, I decided to do a bit of digging just to see what the number looks like for hair loss among women. And I was really, really surprised. And I'm sure the number is going up. I think this research was done 2 years ago. And in the research, it says that 40% of women have some form of hair loss. And I think the scary part was that the number is higher among Black women. And as for myself as a stylist, I see that. I honestly see it. I think if I wasn't a stylist, I'd be, I probably would believe it too, because depending on my hair practices that I've been doing, I might have fallen within those numbers. But I was very, I'm not surprised as a stylist because I see the clients who are coming in my chair and I'm seeing different forms of hair loss. And it's a big number. It's a lot of my clients, some to permanent degree and others are not so permanent or not permanent, Some, a lot of them are ones that are able to fix, and there are others that's too far gone. And it's crazy. It's really, really crazy to see that because, the ones that concern me the most, there are many different forms of hair loss. But, there are some that are genetic. So there are quite a few that are genetics, like alopecia areata, that is genetic, and also some form of diffuse hair loss. Those are genetics. And so what I mean by genetics is that one parent might have some form of hair loss, or maybe a few generations of the mother in the mother family line or the father's family line that had hair loss, and then you as a child now inherit those genes, and those genes now play a part in your hair loss in terms of, sometimes you'll have the genes and it takes a long time to develop, and something as a maybe a kidney infection or some kind of infection or inflammation in the body, and the hair loss presents itself. It starts to, disturb the genes. So the genes start to come into action and affect the hair loss, resulting in you having hair loss. So I can see where the number is high. And those, genetic hair loss is something that you really cannot do anything really about. You can slow the process, but you can't do anything about it once it's in the genes. It's just a matter of time before you lose your hair. Some people, not completely, but you will see signs of hair loss. The hair becomes a lot thinner. But in our Black community, as a stylist, the ones that I'm most concerned about, is hair loss that is self-inflicted. So you look at hair loss such as scarring alopecia and also traction alopecia, and those are the two hair loss that I see so common among women, my clients. And those are hair losses where scarring alopecia is, a lot of times it's from, relaxers. So relaxers sitting on the scalp for a long period of time and cause burning. So now that area where the burn took place is now inflamed. And that's where the hair follicles now get destroyed, because now a scar has been created over the follicles, so there's no way to grow any more hair. So you have permanent hair loss right there. And then the traction alopecia, where you have women who are braiding their hair tight, quite with a lot of tension over time. So some women will be doing it from they were for a teenager until now they're in their 40s. This constant braiding, constant tension on the scalp, and at no point giving the scalp a break. So, that eventually will also lead in permanent. If it's a shorter period of time, there are treatments that can be done, and also hair practices that can be eliminated, and more hair care practices that can be implemented. So those hair loss, those can if you have to have any hair loss, honestly, those are the hair loss that can be helped. Well, not so much the scarring alopecia, that's more permanent, but traction alopecia, because a lot of times, if it's not been going on for a long period of time, you can stop it, and then you can start treatment on the hair in that area where you've had the tension, a lot of tension on the scalp, where you notice that it's starting to get thinner. You can get treatment. There are treatments that you can do, thankfully, to combat that and allow new hair to start growing in. But you can't constantly be doing the same kind of styling for any long period of time, especially when you're pulling on the scalp, or if you've had, you keep getting burned every time you go to the hair salon to get a chemical service done. And that includes bleaching the hair as well, because a lot of women, are now putting highlights in their hair, and they're now bleaching their hair lighter because of trends that are going on right now. And, they sacrifice your scalp, but they have to realize that without the scalp, you're not going to have any hair. So you have to take care of your scalp. You have to make sure that your hairstyles aren't affecting your scalp, right? So those are the hair loss that I see a lot of. And as I said, there are stuff that you can do to avoid those. I know it's a lot being discussed, Nikki. Are you following me?
No, I am. It's a lot of, but it's good to be mindful though, because I feel that women can get so caught up in the style, and there's a race to keep up with the trends, that they're not really paying attention to see if the trend is actually going to be harmful to their hair in the long term, like putting in certain extensions and keeping it in for a certain period of time, or having it put in a pattern of your hair that may go against the growth, and then it ends up damaging the area of your hair, creating thinning hair, or even balding after a while. So this information is very valuable, so that we know we are armed. And I'm saying we because, I follow the trends. I love great styles. I'm always coloring my hair and changing the length. So just to be mindful of what you're doing, so that you can keep up with conditioning your hair. So it's very good to know.
Absolutely.
And because go ahead.
No. You can finish, Nikki. You can go ahead. I was going to touch on another point, but I'll wait for you to go ahead.
Sure. No, what I was saying is that, I'm the proof is in the pudding, because I had my hair in a certain tight braid for a long period of time. I can see the thinning on one side of my hair. That part won't grow the same, and that is just what if you don't listen, you're going to feel. That's what my father used to say. So, that is the experience of just having the tension for a long period of time. Now it won't grow back. It's the way it should.
Right. And what I said, had you known when you started, or the person who was doing it for you, had they said to you, say you like your hair braided tight, and, the stylist is doing it where it's not enough tension that you like, here you are in a position now where if the person doesn't have the interest of your hair in hand, they're going to braid it tight. They're going to listen to you and say, no, braid it tight because I want it to last a lot longer, right? And then what happens, you're not realizing that that is causing damage over time, damage that you're going to regret, damage that you're going to see every time you go and do your hair, right? Or if you want to achieve certain styles, but that's, preventing you. So it's so important that when you're getting your hair done, that the person who's doing your hair, the person who's supposed to be taking care of your hair, understand all these factors when it comes to, putting in weaves and doing braids. Because it's not that I don't do it. I do braids and I do weaves, but I'm not putting tension on the hair where it's going to cause the hair to not grow, where you're going to experience hair loss. There's safe ways to do it. There are ways to do it where you're giving your hair a break and you're not doing it as a staple, where it's constant. You keep doing it. You don't give your hair a break. You don't take it out at any point. No, that's definitely going to cause breakage and not only breakage, hair loss, right? So, there are safe ways to do these practices. They're a very, very safe environment where you can go and get this done. But, us as women too, and stylists and women in general need to educate themselves as well. They need to either find somebody who understands the hair and what it, and how to take care of the hair. And also too, they need to understand and have the knowledge that when somebody's doing something to your hair that is going to cause damage, and you can say, no, don't do that, or you don't choose that style. You're really educated about what not to do with your hair. So even for me, even though I'm a stylist, I still learn from my clients. And it's good. It's refreshing because, a lot of times you're so in the chair, and a lot of times you don't get to see what's happening, or, you can't understand everybody's hair. So with the more, the better the relationship is with you and your hair, the better your hair is going to be, the more healthier your hair is going to be. Right? So you can't just always leave it in the stylist's hand, because not all stylists are made equally.
Exactly. They can't all have you, but I highly recommend they come to you for sure.
Thank you, Nikki.
So the proof is in the pudding. If I will put up a picture and show where my hair started with when I met you.
Yeah, I'm impressed with your hair. I have to say, I'm very, very impressed with your hair, because your hair is so light. The color. Thank you. But your hair colors, it's even for me, I'm learning from your hair. I'm learning from your hair because I know the basics. I know the very basics, but everybody's hair is so different, because as I was saying to you when I was doing your hair, you have 4 different textures. 4 different textures on your hair. You have so many different textures on your hair, and every client is different. Every single client is different. So your hair is really teaching me how to care for it, and I'm trying to listen as much as possible, But it's good. It's really, really good.
Awesome. So how can we avoid the hair loss?
So as I was mentioning before, when it comes to genetic hair loss, that's something that's within the genes. That's something that, we don't have a whole lot, 100% control over. We can avoid certain things, like in terms of our lifestyle. We can watch our lifestyle, the way, we eat, the way, we carry our stress, and the kind of products that we use and the kind of foods that we eat. We can control how soon those hair loss starts to kick in, because at some point it will kick in, but it all depends on how much hair you lose at any given time. So you want to slow the process down. The best way to slow the process down, as I said, it comes down to your lifestyle. I always say, the good remedy to life is sleep, it's a lot of rest, and food. Those are some of the most important things, and peace of mind. So those things you want to be practicing. When it comes to traction alopecia, you want to be avoiding tight braiding on the scalp, a lot of tension, or any style that you have to be doing a lot of braiding on for any long period of time. You want to really, not do it for any more than 2 months. And that's usually a protective style, maybe through the winter. So at any time, yes, you can do braiding, but not too much traction on the scalp. And if you can avoid it, avoid it. If you don't have to, braid your hair, try to avoid it, start caring for your hair. A lot of women have really beautiful hair, and I understand that scheduling and time, it's not always available, but start practicing hair, proper hair care. Start looking for better products to use. And, just start caring for your hair more as it comes down to the next one is scarring alopecia. Scarring alopecia that's mentioned before, it's where the scalp, there's any kind of burn, relaxer, chemical burns on the scalp. You want to make sure that whoever is doing those services on you is an expert. That's it. Just make sure they're an expert, because if they're not an expert, they could be doing a lot of damage to your hair and your scalp that you're going to regret in the long run.
Absolutely.
So those are just the main ones. Mm-hmm.
Okay, fantastic. Now, how can people get in contact with you if they want to make a consultation, if they want to come to you for a style, braiding, extensions? Where can they go?
So they can come to Michael Kluthe Hair Salon, and Michael Kluthe Hair Salon is in a very convenient area. It's very close to the St. Clair West subway station. We're just 1 block south of St. Clair on Yonge Street. So the address is 1428 Yonge Street, and we're just on the 2nd floor. And our phone number is 416-925-6306. And, they can just ask for Shellian, and I'll be more than happy to help.
Okay. Excellent. Well, Shellian, thank you so much for sharing the pearls of wisdom you have about hair loss today. I think we learned a great deal, and it's very important to just be extra mindful of the products you're using and how you're manipulating your hair when it comes to certain styles, because of the long-term effects that we spoke about today, and hair loss being one of them. So very, very informative. Thank you again, Shellian. And we look forward to your next segment. And like I said, always great chatting with you. So you've been listening to the Nikki Clark Radio Show, and you had a fantastic feature with Shellian Sterling and talking about hair loss. So listen up for the next segment. Shellian, have a fantastic day, and catch up with you soon. Thank you.
You too, Nikki. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.